Hello, everyone, on a very, very, very cold Friday evening. Very, very cold here in Columbus. I want to make a video. I had a very, very interesting discussion. One second, let me get this. All right, we all set here. Korean music. All right, yeah. Anyway, I had a very, 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 very interesting conversation with a buddy of mine earlier, and we were pretty much talking about this is language learning, how we have people here, particularly in the States, um, ooh, that will tell people they will kind of criticize other people about them learning a language, like they need to, for example, turn this heat on real quick. For example, you guys know, those of you living in states, you know that there's always people criticizing, like Mexicans, native Spanish speakers, those Mexicans that come over here and they get these jobs and they don't really speak English, and they get these low. A lot of them get these like low paying jobs. They work for low wages. A lot of people talk about that stuff and how they don't speak English. They need to speak English, and they're living in the States but can't speak English, and people wonder why they can't speak. And they're like, you've been living here for years and can't speak English. Why don't these Mexicans learn English? And I was talking with my buddy, and he was telling me he had a friend that went over to Germany, I believe, and she was no, it wasn't Germany. It was France. Yeah, it was France. She went over to France, and she was in the shop, and the guy spoke French, and she was upset. She was like, "Why don't?" She was upset. She was upset because the guy was speaking French. She was wondering why he wouldn't speak English, and I find it funny because you're over there in France, so why are you complaining about them not speaking English? But anyway, the point is, if you don't have any experience learning a language, those people who don't have experience learning a language, should they criticize people? Do they have people got the right to say whatever they want to say, but how do you guys feel about these people who just criticize people for not speaking like English? They're saying, why don't you learn English? And these people don't have any experience learning any other languages. How do you guys feel about that? This is just an interesting conversation I had earlier with a friend, and I want to get some more opinions, get you guys' opinion on this topic. Like, do you guys feel that one should, if they don't have that experience learning a language, should they go out and criticize others and tell them that they need to learn English in this case? You have a lot of people, they will do this. They will complain about others not learning English, but they won't take the time out for themselves to learn, to at least try to learn another language. They won't try, but they'll be quick to criticize others. And what they fail to realize is learning a language it takes a lot of effort and motivation. I think motivation is the most important part. If you don't have motivation, you're not going to do it. Like, for example, me, I study a lot of languages. I love studying languages. But if it's there are certain languages that I don't have motivation for learning. For example, Spanish. Languages like Spanish, it took me, I had to force myself to learn that language, to study it. I didn't really have the motivation to learn that language. So I think motivation is it's the main thing here. And if people don't have the motivation, they're not going to take the time out and try to learn any language. So those people, back to the Mexicans that come over here, they can't speak English and they've been living over here for a long time. They don't have the motivation to learn English, and a lot of the times they can get around. Like, they have family members who can speak English that can help them get around. So it's like there's really no need for them to learn English unless they really wanted to. So, like I said, and this is just my opinion, I don't feel people should criticize others, telling them that they need to learn English. I don't think they need to. I don't think they should do that, especially if they don't have experience learning another language. You see, that's why it's important. I want to get my girls into language learning because, I want them to see, not only that it's very it's enriching, it'll open up a lot of doors, but I want them to understand how it feels when people come from these other countries and they can't speak English, and they at least try, but they need to see that. I want them to see that it takes a lot of effort and it's not easy. We talked about this the other day. If learning a language is easy, so I want them to see that it takes a lot of effort, and they shouldn't criticize people. Hey, that's not your problem. If they're not learning English, that's not your problem. It's not your place. It's not your place to criticize them. Just let them be. But all I know is that it takes a lot of motivation, and if you don't have this motivation, you're not going to learn. Plain and simple. Yep. So another video I think I made is about the Estonians. There's this thing going around. This big thing of Estonia. Like a lot of the Russians over there, and a lot of Estonians, they say that it's like these Russians been over here for years. They don't go back to their own country. They just don't want to learn Estonian. Now, I don't know much about the history amongst the Estonians and Russians, but as far as language learning, they say that they just won't learn Estonian, and they living over there. Hey, if they can get by in Russian, they're not going to learn Estonian if they don't have the motivation. They're not going to do it. Some people say, well, you got to get a job. Well, if they get a job where they can use Russian and they don't have motivation to learn Estonian, they're not going to learn Estonian. Why would someone force themselves to learn a language that they have no motivation for? It doesn't make any sense. So that's pretty much it. I just want to get you guys' opinion on this. Like, how do you guys feel about people who criticize others for not speaking their target language, which is English? And then the Estonian. You have Russians living in Estonia. They won't learn. Well, not all of them, but many Russians won't learn Estonian. How do you guys feel about this? People who don't have experience learning foreign language, do you think they have the place to criticize others for learning, for learning a language? What do you guys think? All right, that's my little rant, a little rambling for Friday nights. Thanks for viewing, and look forward to you guys' comments.